And Shabbat Shalom, those on the panel, Princess, Prince,
Shabbat Shalom.
and Nasika, my Isha. We have another segment of Beulah at TempleKefarym today. We have powerful lessons that's going to be given on the first class and the second class. So please make sure that you share this link. I see you all coming in now. Shabbat Shalom. Please share this link. Subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, and like the video as well. This portion of the class, the first class, we express what we are grateful for, what we want to give honor and praise to the Most High for. So for those of you that's on right now, please post it. We will share it, and we will read it for you. Again, this segment is to say what you're thankful for, what you want to give the Most High honor and praise for. We will share it. Those on the Facebook as well, do the same thing. We appreciate you. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you share, and make sure you like this video. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. What we're thankful for. So those on the panel, if you would like to get started, we can. One more again, a reminder, please make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and make sure you like it. All right, the floor is for those on the panel.
Okay, I can go first. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom lekulam. Giving all praises, all glory, all honor unto our Creator. Giving all praises and honor to my Ish, my spiritual leader and leader of one of the leaders of this beautiful community we call Beulah. And giving all honor and praise also to my father, who is away right now in hundreds, thousands of miles away from us, but I'm blessed that he is doing well. And just want to give thanks for making it to another Shabbat day. Thankful for all my family, all my biological family, and all my chosen family, because it's just a beautiful thing to be able to have love and people amongst you that you can trust and move forward and build with. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for the Most High allowing my Ish to make it home safely, back to Philadelphia, to that home, even though I know it's hard when he leaves here because his heart is so embedded in this community and this land. So I know it takes a lot out of him to have to drive back there and be gone for a while. And I'm thankful for the Most High bringing back Nasik Shema and Nasik Amuna home safely after their journey and, the changes of life that they had to go through. So I'm thankful, and I was smiling and happy when I saw them arriving home safely on the land. It's something about being here amongst all of us together. It just brings us so much closer, and it feels empty when everybody's not here. So I'm grateful that the Most High has brought us back together again. I am grateful definitely for this week. It was it felt like a very quick week, but it felt like a long week at the same time. But I'm thankful for just the experiences that we went through this week. I'm thankful for the school flourishing, continuing to flourish, and for even through the hiccups that we are experiencing, that we're working through them together, and we're finding the best positive outcomes to move forward. So toda to the Creator for all things and everything, and may He continue to bless our hands of work. May He continue to bless this land that we are living on, bless it with the fruit and the soil to produce the fruits and vegetables that we will soon be growing once again. And just bless those all that are here, the new families and the old families. So Torah Most High for all He does and all He continues to do. Say who?
May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah.
Toda for that, princess. For those that's tuning in, we see more people coming in. Please subscribe, like, and share, because again, it will be a powerful lesson this morning, as well as for the second class. We have classes at 11 every week, at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then at 3 p.m. Eastern. You're going to get some good lessons, some good information. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share. This is the portion where we say what we express, what we're grateful for, give honor and praise to the Most High. So please share it, and we will post it and read it for you. Okay, so we have some individuals here as well on the land, some new individuals that moved on the land. We'll let them speak when they're ready. But those that's on the panel, if you want to say what you're grateful for right now, my Ishtar, go ahead. And then if you all want to say what you're grateful for this week, you all could do the same.
Shalom Lakulam. My camera will be on soon, but I do want to go ahead and give thanks to the Most High for life, for health, for strength, for family, for the head of our household, Nasik Shema Ma'ish. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for our time of healing. I'm just grateful for truly our Beulah family. I know we brag on our Beulah family a lot, but that's not going to change whatsoever because they truly pull through as if they've been with us all of our lives. And so I'm grateful because this journey, I mean, as I can assume for anyone, is not a very easy journey. And I'm just grateful. And as I'm grateful, I would like to share something that was on my heart when it comes down to grieving. So during this process of grieving, I've found it very interesting that for those on the outside looking in, they may not understand exactly what it is you're going through. And I understand some people are trying to connect with you the best way they can. But I would say to those that are comforting those that are grieving, you have to be very careful with your words and just careful with your actions towards them, especially if you've never grieved for a mother or father or a child. There can be things that make us very sensitive, and it's not your fault. It's just you have to be wise and tread lightly with anyone who's grieving. During this time, I've really found, and this is no insult to my blood family or other families, but our Beulah family, for me and my Ish and my family back in South Carolina, our Beulah family, and even individuals that are not blood family have actually been closer and more comforting to us during this journey than some of my own blood family. And it's so, I guess, so traditional just to send your condolences, and that's as far as it goes. But when someone's grieving for a mother, just my condolences is not enough. And this isn't to say we want more, we want your attention. No, but you have to be sensitive because that was your blood family as well. And so I'm just finding it very interesting how a lot of people just want to make sure that they said something so they don't feel guilty. And but as far as like people that have been there through the process, they've been checking on us and, hey, how's everyone? How's, Ab or how's Papa doing? Because things like this, a simple condolences or hope you all get better that's not going to heal the wound of all those years your mother has been there. And I'm just saying this as a word of wisdom to those that might lose a mother or those that might want to try to empathize or sympathize with those that have lost. You just have to be careful. And if you're going to be there and understand that life for that person changes. Like going to the store is not the same. Going out in public places is not the same. So if you would like to relieve some of that stress, especially for in this case, my he would have been married to my mother for 40 years. Well, I'll relieve you from having to go to the store. You say if there's something you need, I can do it. Well, you buy that Ish or that grieving husband groceries. because it's like a lot of people are just asking, well, what can I do? And they think that suffices as long as they ask and you don't get back to them. They think, well, my job is done. But a person who's grieving, as you all have witnessed, our minds are not focused as they should be. But with that, I conclude this message. Just use wisdom how you approach those that are grieving and the families connected to them, because it's not an easy process. And being there for them, us, is the best thing that you could do. I'm grateful for everyone here on this panel, our new family here at Beulah. They've all been very supportive and checking in on us. So I'm grateful for life, for strength, and for every lesson the Most High shows. Shalom lekulam zehu.
And the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah.
Can I say something?
So that, go ahead, Princess.
I just wanted to commend Mabati for being able to express that, because it is a difficult process when people will ask what you want or what you need, but then there's no follow through, because a lot of times when you're going through that moment or that time, you don't have the words sometimes to say what you want or need. And this is why it's so important that family, community, whomever you're around, is there to just sometimes just give and be there. I know growing up in my family, we used to do, if a person had a child or there was death in the family or even a marriage in the family, we would have what you call a food train, where we would put a calendar together for about 30 to 90 days to be able to, everybody would pick a day or a week or a couple of days on the calendar and provide food for that family, whether it was cooking the meals or, like she said, going and buying the groceries. And, I'm always saying, like, we have to get back to that, because even when we look in the ancient times, when we look at our ancestors, wherever you say your ancestors are from in the Eastern Hemisphere, that was something they did. That was traditionally something they did. The community would rally around the family. And like I said, it wasn't always for sad times. It was for weddings or for babies coming into this world. But here in this world that we live in, people feel like, well, once we have a funeral, once the person's buried, or once the baby comes, after the baby shower, all that's thrown out the window. After the people have their wedding ceremony, people don't stick to being a family with them. And it's so important, because what I think people miss is those ceremonial things that are taking place are there to continue to tie you together. Because when you attend a funeral or a burial, that's a ceremonial action, and you are pledging your dedication and your support to that family. And it doesn't end at that moment of the burial process. And even at a wedding, people think, oh, I came to the wedding, I bought a gift. That's not the end of you supporting that marriage. Marriages need community and family support. People need support throughout that whole process. When a baby comes, coming to the baby shower and giving a gift, that's not the end of it. What does the mother and the family, the father, what does the baby, what do they need after that one day? So it's like, because we're here in this world, this country, and that's what it's about. It's all about the capitalist things. And, oh yeah, we had a funeral, and what money they make off of that. Oh yeah, we had a baby shower, all the money they make off of that. Oh, we had a wedding, all the money they make off of that. But we forget, us as a people, we forget that when that marriage, when that passing, when that new baby came in, that was something that happened to the complete family, and it's supposed to keep us together. So, I pray, and we, no try to be big-headed about it, anything, but because I grew up like that, that's just where I'm always trying to feed that to the people around me. Like, we have to be there for the family, not just in this moment, but continuously. And that's why, like, even we was like, yo, we want y'all to come visit us. We're going to come back and visit y'all. And we mean it, because personally, sad to say, and because it's no joy for me to say it, I lost my mother. And so when someone else goes through that, I know the pain and I know what it takes you through. And there's nothing that a word or a card can do to make you feel better. But truly what makes you feel better is the people being there for you and you seeing them consistently. You giving they're giving you hugs. And even if they don't hug you, just sitting with you and just hearing you, talk. And I think people forget that. People forget it's the small things. It's not texting me and saying, "Oh, I got you," but then you never have me. That doesn't mean anything. So I think we have really what Nasika Muna was saying was really think about what you are intending to be for each other, because the words truly don't mean nothing. It's the action behind it. And I know some people don't know what to do, but this is a part of learning how to be better. This is how we learn to be better and to be a family. So I just want to say, I just wanted to say that because what she said was so important. And this is the steps that we have to start to take to build a stronger families, to build stronger communities, so that we could be there for one another, not just in word, but in truly, indeed, in action, in spirit, and love. Zehu.
May the Most High be praised. The reason why I chuckle is because my wife called me this morning and said, I'm going to just be in the background. I'm not going to say much. But it's funny how when conversation gets started and your emotions inside of you can confess to the truth of the matter that's being said, you have to open up and let it out. You know what I'm saying? Nasika started it by pouring out her spirit, her soul to the people. And my wife felt it. And when she felt it, she had to just let it out. She couldn't contain it. So that's what this is all about. May the Most High be praised. Toda
Toda for that, princess. Again, you all, we see more people are coming in. Please subscribe. I'm going to always say it. Please subscribe. Share, because there's always good messages and lessons and conversation that happens with the people here that can help your life. Trust me, even helps mine often, right? So like, subscribe, and share if you have not. And I know some of you haven't did it yet. So go ahead and share and go ahead and like. I'm going to read some of the comments right now before I, open the floor for those that's here at the Knesset or Mishkan, if they like to come up and say what they're grateful for and thankful for. So first we have Gebert Autumn. She says, Toda Rabah, to our Heavenly Father, Abenu, which is in Hebrew, our Father, for his protecting hand over me, my family, my loved ones, especially his protection bringing my Ish back to Philly on that drive by himself. Then she says, I'm also grateful for a loving Ish that is supporting me throughout my pregnancy, helping me relax throughout the night when I'm restless and uncomfortable, or even making me food for us when I can't. Okay, Prince throws down.
May the Most High be praised. That's what real men do. We do what we got to do.
We have Geber Akaza or Aisha. I'm thankful for this beautiful, warm winter weather, the excess time I've had to meditate, the goodness all around, and the blessing that come due to my geological location.
May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabah, sis.
She then says, my heart goes out to anyone who has been traumatized, especially at a young age. All right. Shabbat Shalom, Zakena, to Celia. Toda for that. Is there anyone here that would like to give honor and praise to the Most High for anything that has transpired this week, yesterday or today? Anyone here? And if you do, can you come step up a little closer so they could hear you all on the, if you all would. Appreciate you. Yeah, whatever you're thankful for this week or today or yesterday, whatever it might be, to the Most High. Hold on. Yeah, that's good.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat
Shalom.
I would like to say I'm thankful for family, the strength to endure, the Most High continues to bless us with. As I said, the Beulah family. It's another day to wake up and be able to repent and do things right all over again. and just try to please the Most High.
All praises. All praises. Todah, Todah.
God be
And that
praised.
was Salakli Prince.
See, may Most High be praised.
Okay. That was Yirmiyahu or Yahoo. Him and his wife and family moved on the land, on Beulah land. Excited to have him here and excited to see what he's going to offer the people, offer Beulah land. You know, he has a lot of talent and things of that nature. So todah for that. Anyone else? Anyone else? No pressure. All right.
Is Dante there?
Yeah, he's here.
Will he be singing today?
Anilo Yodea. Lo Hayom, not today.
Okay. Go to today.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
family. Today, I would like to say that I'm thankful for, as always, peace of mind. I'm thankful for sound wisdom. I'm thankful for my family here at Beulah. I mean, it is very important to me. My family here at Beulah is very important to me. A lot of my life, I felt very lonely in this walk, and to be a part of the family here at Beulah has been a blessing to me and my spirit. But I want to speak a little bit on sound wisdom and peace of mind. I'm very thankful for the word of the Creator. Past few weeks, past few months, I've been going through a huge transition in my life. And it is only the word of the Creator that has kept me grounded and kept me rooted in myself and understanding the path that He has me on, understanding, that pretty much He's kept me like a tree that has been planted, and it's been rooted. And, I'm just thankful for, sound wisdom for my elders that He has placed before me, that has been helping me to stay grounded, to stay rooted, and to not be swayed either way, to not be swayed to the left side, to not be swayed to the right side, but to stand firm in what I know that the Creator is doing with me. And so with that, I just want to say that I'm truly thankful for sound wisdom, for the word of the Creator, and then as always, Him just continuously keeping me in a state of peace, a peace of mind, and yes, that is all. When it comes to singing a song, I may actually sing a song, so I'm going to let everyone finish. I don't have a mini instrument, but I may still sing. And I'm going to let everybody else still give their thanks, and then most High willing, I will sing something.
All right. May the Most High be praised.
Todah. Todah.
Goodbye.
All right. If there's anyone else in the on Facebook or on YouTube that may want to give thanks and honor to the Most High, please do so. Please share it in the chat. We will read it. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please share. We are about to go into a powerful lesson, the many challenges of the ego. I'm excited to see what this is going to be about, and you should be as well. So if you are here, subscribe. Share it. Share it to your social media family. Share it to them. We hear a lot of people often after the lessons, they say, "Man, that was a powerful lesson." To the teachers that's here and to the visiting teachers, and they haven't shared it. Everybody should hear this message that you all are coming back for. You all are coming back to listen, to learn, to maybe even comment and implement your wisdom that the Most High has given you. Let others hear the same thing that you all are hearing. So please share it. If there's no one else, I'll go ahead and give what I'm thankful for. I don't see any more comments. I don't see any more. All right. So I will say I want to give honor and praise to the Most High for, as Ashante brought out, said that giving me peace. This has been a trying time these last few weeks, And even outside of these last few weeks, life can be tough, you know. But if you have that peace that the Most High has given us, it helps, you know, it really helps. And I'm grateful for that peace. I'm grateful for my Isha, her strength that I've seen even over these last few weeks. People, it's interesting. People will message you on Facebook and say, man, you got to be strong. You'll be strong for your Isha and this and that and the family, which I am. But to see the strength that they actually have in the midst of this, if people was to see it, they will be like, okay, wow, you know, because that's the first thing that everyone says, be strong for them. This is a hard time, right? But one of the things that I can say that I witnessed is many of the family, especially my Isha as well, they operate how we see in the scriptures. You all remember when the thing was happening with David, with his child, you know, he was, you know, praying and hoping and crying, things of that nature. And as soon as the child, you know, transitioned, the spirit went back to the Most High, it was like, okay, we got to get this work done now, right? It's not to say that you're not going to have thoughts here and there. Like my Isha said, they'll go to the store and stuff like that. They have memories with their aim, with our aim. But the strength is still there. That work is still there. And I'm seeing that with the family, and I'm seeing that with my Isha. So I'm grateful to see that. And as my Isha said, I don't want to be the, what they say, dead horse, but this family, this Beulah family, amazing. Amazing. This is not a sale. This is not a pitch. This is just truth. And I've been in this walk for going on 13 years, and I haven't seen it until now. I've saw pieces, but I haven't seen it in this capacity, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for meeting the new family that's on the land. We broke bread last night, just speaking. We was going through the scriptures last night too, you know, and I could rant sometimes, and they was just listening. They was like, man, look, stop it. You're not ranting. You know, we was building together. So it's good to be able to do that in love and in truth, and wanting to gain the knowledge and understanding. So I'm just grateful for it all. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to see what's going to happen in the future. You know, I have my thoughts on what's going to happen, but to experience it is what I'm grateful to have that opportunity to be a part of. So with that, I yield, and that's what I'm grateful for. Told I pass the mic to Prince.
Shabbat shalom. Torah Rabbah, may the Most High be praised. Todah Rabbah. So much has happened in this week. In the last 2 and 3 weeks, so much has taken place. And we all have been challenged in different ways to stand up to who it is that we're supposed to be. The daughters have been challenged to stand up to the fact that they're children of their Imam and Abba, and they had to stand through that through the whole trial period. The sons, they had to stand strong and do their portion, showing that they are the sons of the mother and father. And what I mean, they came, jumped in, Abba gave orders, everybody got down there and did it, no arguments, no fights. Everybody participated. Everybody did their thing. So much has transpired. My brother here, Nasik, he had to prove. Now, when I say prove, I don't mean you're proving to anyone else. These are things you're proving because you hold these positions in life. So if you want to say you're proving it to you, then that's one thing. But you have to prove that you're worthy of these positions. Because a lot of times people flee in times of disparity. When things get hard and rough and difficult, so many people run from the situation, sit on their hands, and does absolutely nothing. But in this particular case, everybody stood up and did their part. Everybody, I can't complain, you know, and I'm appreciative, I'm thankful. Maisha, she stepped in as a princess, as a mother, as a wife, and she handled her beeswax. She got busy because that's what it's supposed to be. on so many different levels. We got so many of our people talk, but very few actually walk the walk and bring about production. Very few. We have a lot of communities and congregations that are, you can go to any of them right now. They're teaching all over Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. They're all over the place teaching supposedly the word of the Creator. Well, how many of them are actually living the life they talk about? How many actually are actually bending over backwards to serve their brothers and sisters in need? See, that's the difference. When you're talking the Most High's word and living the Most High's word, there's a difference. So we try to do that with everyone here in Beulah land at TempleKefarym. We try to live it. We want to live that experience. We want to walk it with you. We want to not just talk it, but walk it with you. If you hurt, I hurt. If you need, I need. And that's just the only principle that we can put in place that will be the best principle to apply the needs of our lives. So I thank the Creator for the brothers and sisters that I have in my circle with and around me. The connection that we have. You know, I've been doing this a long time. And I think right now over 30 years. Long time. And people come and go. They come and they go. And I mean people who claim and swear their loyalty to you, swear their life to you, swear their loyalty and life to the Most High, that they will serve the Most High forever. And pray with you and break bread and eat with you and do the best of things that you would really think that you'll be spending the rest of your life with this brother or this sister serving the Creator. Many of them are gone. They're gone. And if you pick up the phone and look in your Rolodex, you don't even have their numbers. You know, people talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. And that's the real challenges in this way of life. 30 years is a long time. That's longer than a lot of people are old. A lot of y'all ain't 30 years old. 30 years is a long time. And all I ask is that you be true to what you believe to be right. That's it. Be true to it. You know, a lot of us, we don't. But anyway, these are the things that I'm thankful for, the family that the Most High have me surrounded with. Sometimes you build a family early in life, that family is removed, another family comes in, that family is removed, another family comes in, that family is removed, and then you all by yourself, and you question yourself, what was it all for? I don't know if y'all understand what I'm saying. You know, it's like a woman who has given herself to so many different men, but each man she was expecting to be that man that she would spend the rest of her life with. Just to find out that he's no good, he's a crook, he's a thief, he's unfaithful, he doesn't commit himself to the Creator or this way of life for real, for real. It's been a joke. He's been playing. This is some deep stuff, family, but it's the cycle of life. And I would pray that we have mastered this portion of our cycle at Beulah and at TempleKefarym. Today's lesson we're going to get into, we're going to talk about some stuff. But these lessons that we present, you should watch them even if it ain't the Shabbat. Just go back and watch them because each lesson is about edifying and purifying your soul. We are building families one soul at a time. That's what we're doing. But I thank the Creator for the breath of life. I thank Him for portions of His wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that He brings to us. I thank Him for the elevation that He allows us to achieve and obtain. The position that He's placed us in at this particular time in life, I am eternally grateful and thankful. It could not be by any other hand except the hand of the Almighty. And I'm thankful to be in the receiving end. So may the Most High be praised. To the Rabbah. This is His day. Creator's day. All right. What time do we got? 11:34. We getting started early. I got a whole lot of stuff for you all. can we pull the screen back up for everybody to come up on the screen first? I want to ask some questions of the family that's on the panel here. All right, here we go. Let's do this first. This is what I need to know. In order for us to get started and get started correctly. And you family in the group, if you're on the side, you can comment, put in your words the answers to the question I'm about to ask. Somebody please describe their understanding of what the ego is. What is ego? For those of us on the panel, you can open your mic and you can speak freely. For those of you who are in the room that needs to type, please type what you understand it to be. What is ego? Many of us have what we think is an ideal of ego. And we could be right, but the majority of us are wrong. We could be right. Well, let's deal with it. Let's talk about it. And before I begin to teach on it, I would like to hear from people about their understanding of what ego is. Thoughts of self. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Very good. Sister Zakari said thoughts of self. Okay. All right.
Shabbat shalom. When I think about ego now, I think of it as just another personality, like a different side of a person. Sometimes it's like a bigger side of you. And I would just say growing up, I was taught that ego was a very negative thing. Ego was something that was negative if you didn't kind of like conquer it, so that you wasn't led by it. But I think as I just grow and learn, because I think we all have ego within us. But I know for me, I would say personally for me, when ego is present, I think about why it's presenting itself at that time, and what do I need to learn from it, or how do I need to push it to present, whatever it is that it's trying to present. So I've learned just, and it's not been long, just how to not even say control, but to communicate with my ego, so that it's not overpowering me in a negative manner, and learning that the definition that someone else gives you of it, or that this world says it is, it's not necessarily that. So that's all I have to say.
Very good. May the Most High be praised. Total Rabah. Anyone else?
Shabbat shalom. Ego. It's a word that has a vast wide of definitions. But to sum it up for me, I think that, because you ever heard somebody say, man, my ego won't allow this to happen. You have positive sides of that, you have negative sides of that. Your ego may not allow you to fail, but then somebody say that's not ego, that's drive. That's drive towards some type of righteousness, or so. It just depends. So for me, ego is arrogance. I think that's in the same breath as what some people will say pride. But see, pride for me is different than arrogance, because pride, you can have pride for your people. You can have pride for this Torah or Tanakh. You have to have pride in order to do this Tanakh properly and to serve the Most High. Pride in the Most High. But arrogance, I believe, is different. Ego can lack humility, or ego does lack humility. But this is one of those things. I'm gonna stop now, because I can go so far with ego. It's so many different variables. I think of it differently. So I'm just gonna leave it at arrogance, because arrogance can cause destruction. So I'll stop there. There.
Very good. May the Most High be praised. Nasika, did you want to comment? Or anybody in the room with you, Nasik, afterwards?
Shalom lekulam. To my understanding, growing up, ego was always something that was how you view yourself, but in a overbearing manner. Like your ego, you wouldn't want the example I could use, like, okay, if you're going skating and you don't know how to skate, instead of saying you don't know how to skate, you would just say, I prefer not to skate, not this time. It's your ego because you don't want people to know there's something you can't do. So your ego is like you want people to have a perception of you that's more than what it is. Zehu.
All right. Total Rabbi. May the Most High be praised. Nasik, does anyone in the room want to speak?
Not at the moment, Prince.
Okay. Hey, y'all got to remember, y'all got to get involved to get along. You got to get involved to absorb the message. You have to allow it to become a part of you in order for you to really travel with it and flow as it's flowing. Okay. We have a couple on the panel on the side comments. Yes, Messi.
We got Asante said he gonna give it a shot. Well, that's my words. It's not his. But yeah.
Yeah, I was when it comes to ego, pretty much along the lines of what has already been said. Growing up, ego was always well, for me growing up, yeah, anytime I would hear ego, it was always in like the negative aspect. So I would say the ego would be that lower or that negative side, that negative conscience of our inner man that keeps us from growing and evolving, into higher beings. I feel like, because like I said, you have I feel there's a positive and a negative aspect of ego, but the negative aspect of ego is that negative aspect of our inner man, that battle between like the flesh and the spirit, the flesh being that negative side of us, or that egotistical side of us that keeps us from being completely humble, that keeps us from being in a place of being able to be watered and grow in life.
Okay, very well. May the Most High be praised. Torah Rabbah for that comment. You want to post some of the people from the side chat?
Okay.
Their thoughts on ego. And we're going to get into this lesson, family. So could you like and subscribe and share so that more people can get the benefit of this message? And if you can, go get your pens, your paper, your notepads, or your recording devices, because there's going to be a lot of information in here for you to dissect.
All right, we got Zakena Sukari. She says thoughts of the self, or thoughts of self. Gabriela Dara says thinking too highly of themselves. Gabriela Autumn says ego to me is the pride and attitude that you possess about yourself. Sometimes it can aid in decisions, but a lot of times it can destroy and present itself as a defense mechanism. Gabriela Kaza says ego is the part of the brain which thinks it's always right. Gabriela Ornit says your consciousness of your own identity. Zehu?
Zehu? Okay. All right. Let me get my portion together. Got a lesson here. Did I freeze?
No.
Okay, my screen is acting a fool again. It always does this. I don't know why. All right. I'm frozen now?
Yeah, when you asked you, was it? You're good now, though. You're not frozen anymore.
You're going in and out, yeah.
Going in and out. All right. I'll do my best, family. I'll do my best. And if I get lost, y'all can discuss amongst yourselves some of the things that we heard today.
Okay.
Now, I have before I get into my lesson, I want to read some things about ego. Do anyone know who Sigmund Freud is? Sigmund Freud was a psychologist, And Sigmund Freud came up with all these different ideals about the mind of humans, the mind of people. I want to read one of the presentations that Sigmund Freud brought forward, and then I'll get into my portion of the lesson. It's going to be quite a bit, so bear with me, please. According to Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical theory of personality, the id is the personality component made up of unconscious physical energy that works to satisfy basic urges, needs, and desires. Now, I'm reading this, but I don't want you to think that I agree with everything that this man is saying. This is for informational purposes only. I have to build a foundation so that when I go into the lesson, it enlightens it, it comes to life for you. Overview of the id. The id operate based on pleasure principles, which demand immediate gratification of needs. The id is one of the three major components of personality postulated by Freud: the id, the ego, and the superego. An understanding of Freud's psychodynamic perspective is important in learning about the history of psychology. You may also often see reference to the id, ego, and superego in popular culture and philosophy. When does the id emerge? Freud compares personalities to an iceberg. Now, I thought this part here, when he touched on this, I thought this was so super important. And the way he analyzed this, to me, I happen to agree with, and I think is a powerful analyzation. What you see above the water is actually just a tiny piece of the entire iceberg. Do you know that an iceberg, it'll sit like 100 feet above ground, above the water. But below the water surface, it spreads out 2 miles, and it spreads down 50, 60, 70 miles often. That's how big an iceberg is. But when you're on the boat and you're coming across the sea, all you see is a little part of that. And I want y'all to keep that in mind, because the person's real personality, all you see in a person is what you see from that boat. When everything is going good, smooth sailing, you're dealing with a person, an individual, what you see above water is what they portray and allow you to see, or what they may share with you. But the real inner makings and the real inner workings of that individual, you'll never see that, because they have learned to master the id or the ego. They've learned to hide it very well. And because we don't have the mind of the creator, we can't often see what really lurks in the imagination of man. Man is a very, very incredible being. When I say man, I mean both male and female. We are some very, very incredible beings. See, animals are true to their nature. An animal is going to be what it's going to be, and it's going to act the way that it really is. This is all you get with an animal. You got a dog and he loves you, he's going to let you know he loves you. He's going to be up underneath, he's going to rub all over you. But man is not like that. Man will make you think that they love and care for you. But yet all along they're plotting and planning and scheming how to devour you. Think about what I'm saying, y'all, family. This is what the ego is all about. But let's talk about the id. We're going to talk about the id. We're going to talk about the id, and then we deal with the ego, okay? The tiny piece of the iceberg, most of which is hidden under the water. The tip of the iceberg above the water represents conscious awareness. Conscious awareness is dealing with the emotions and the actions and the responses that you do consciously. And if you hear me speak a lot about myself or other brothers and sisters of Beulah and TempleKefarym, you'll hear me say often that we just do it. We don't think about it. We just, people are surprised at it because It just happens, but it's nothing that we have to think about. It's just what it is. So we just do what we're supposed to do. But so many people, all you see is what they put above the surface of the water, the efforts that they make to try to confuse you or cause you to not see who they really are. And we do this in relationships. We do this between man and woman, husband and wife. We do this in relationships between friends. We do this in relationships with parents and children. But the sad part is we do this in our walk with the Most High. Because most of us are not true to our walk with the Creator. What do I mean? Remember what I said. Subconsciously, the real person is underneath of the water, and it can expand under the water for thousands of feet. But above the water is the part that you see that they present to the world. And this is what we do to the Creator. We present to the Creator the part above the water as if he can't see underneath of the water. But he can. There's nothing that we can do to hide from the Creator. We've gotten so accustomed to fooling people and individuals that we also try to fool the Creator. We know how to live a life that's pleasing and acceptable to him by eradicating all the evil and wickedness out of our actions. But we don't. And that's what I mean by trying to fool the Creator. Many of us show up on Shabbat day as an attempt to fool the Creator. Many of us wear fringes, and we even go out of our way to put certain type of fabrics on our bodies, but it's all in an attempt to fool the Creator. When you walk righteously before the Most High, you give every ounce of your energy, your thought, your mind, your compassion to the Creator. You don't allow your ego to get in the picture. You don't allow your id to get in the picture. No, let me put it this way. There's a certain amount of ego that exists within all of us. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's that motivating, driving force that keeps you moving. But when your ego overpowers you and you can't take correction or you can't take criticism, I'm talking about correct and proper, respectful correction and criticism. And you begin to argue and fight and want to tussle with the individual, actually get to a place where you want to embarrass or hurt the individual, then you have failed. And something better than who you are needs to come in and take command of your spirit and teach you how to be a righteous individual as you're required to be to serve this king. Let's get back to the lesson. The id is the only part of the personality that is present at birth. Now, this is Freud's determination. According to Freud, he also suggests that this primitive component of personality exists wholly within the unconscious. The id acts as the driving force of personality. It's not only strives to fulfill the most basic urges that people have, many of which are tied directly to survival. It also provides all the energy necessary to drive personality. Now I'm gonna leave him alone for a minute. He talks about so many different things, but I'm gonna leave him alone for a minute, and I'm going to get to our lesson. I was in our lesson, but I was in a different part of our lesson. So let's get to the part that has been prepared for today for us. We all have some form of ego. It's the ego. It tries to protect us from shame. Are you aware of that? Usually when your ego kicks in, it kicks in because you feel embarrassed, or like my Nasika said earlier. Nasika said something about it tries to, what did she say? Something about it tries to protect you from being embarrassed, or I forget the actual wordings that she used, but she spoke about how oftentimes somebody feels embarrassed I believe it was Nasika, spoke about how oftentimes somebody feel embarrassed, so they have to,
You have to overcompensate.
overcompensate. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't remember it verbatim, and I wanted to make a mental note so I can bring it out. I like the part about my brother just said save face. We all have some form of ego. It tries to protect us from shame or embarrassment or failure, of not being good enough. That's what I think she might have said. Of not being good enough to do whatever it is that's being requested of you. A lot of us fail in that area, and this is when ego kicks in. Bear with me because we just getting started and we got so much to get into. There is also a communal ego. Now, the communal ego is when a group of people have a certain type of confidence about themselves. Like, for example, if I'm a Hebrew and I live in New York, no Hebrew in New York can do anything wrong to an outsider outside of New York. I'm going to side up with the Israelite from New York over the Israelite from Philadelphia or Cincinnati always. That's the communal ego. It's a false sense of security, and it has nothing to do with who's right or who's wrong. It's an ego that builds up inside of a community of people to protect the guilty from correction and proper judgment just because. This is when a group of people are full of pride. A group of people are full of arrogance, therefore mistreating newcomers and outsiders collectively in a negative manner. This is something that you're not supposed to do by law. You're not supposed to do this. Therefore, collectively mistreating newcomers and outsiders collectively in a negative manner. And you know that we have a lot of Israelite communities that are guilty of this. If you're not a part of their clique, if you're not a part of them in a more intimate way, then they give you the cold shoulder or shun you off. I remember many years ago, I met an Israelite, and I went to embrace the brother, because I'm big on Israel. So I went to embrace the brother, give him a hand like this, and you embrace it, you give him a hug, and the brother stiff-armed me like this right here. He went to give me the grip, but then he held his arm out like this, so like, yo, bro, I don't need no hug from you. I don't want you to embrace me. But that's what brotherhood does. Brotherhood embraces the brothers. When you are just meeting somebody for the first time, in order for you to open up and let that person feel welcomed, you show them some love and respect, some honor. That's what you do. But that brother right there, this one particular brother, he stiff arm like this right here, put his arm up. I mean, he gave me the grip, but that was about it. And he held it out right there. But eventually, over the years, and I want you to keep this in mind because we're still dealing with ego. Over the years, the brother did finally give up the embracing. But the moment that a situation fell out between the two of us, we got the stiff arm again. And I mean, we got the embracing for a good 5-6 years. And then the moment that something negative fell out, the stiff arm came up. And then after the stiff arm, there was no communication. So what was the purpose of the embracing at all? It's a period of time. And ego don't go away because situations around you get better. Ego stays deep-seated within the mind. And the first opportunity that ego has to come back out and show its face, irregardless of reason, it will show its face. So don't be deceived by we people pretend to show you, because all you see is what's above the water. You don't see what's below the water. And what's below the water is much bigger, darker, and greater. And it goes down so much deeper. And you may never see it. Our purpose in this life is to conquer the ego that exists within us that's negative. But there are many challenges to the ego, each on your own individual level, and they come often and sporadic throughout your lifetime. You have to master the ego, because if you don't master your ego will master you. Now, let's not get ego confused with confidence, because there's nothing wrong with a confident brother or sister that just know they can do that. They got the understanding and the mind state that they can take on any challenge and defeat it. That's not ego. That's confidence. And we all should have that confidence. And if you have an individual in your circle that doesn't have the confidence, then you build them up so that they get that confidence. But if they start and they begin to show a ego-centric attitude toward others, and when they're placed in situations where they cannot be corrected, then we have to deal with those issues. Where they can't be shown that they don't know something, then we have to deal with those issues. Where they can't be taught, and there's no possibility of them ever being wrong, we have to deal with those issues. Now, the proper way to deal with those issues would be for us to have conversation, sit downs, and talks with these individuals to expose them to the darker side of them. But as many people do, when we cut those type of people out of our lives, we are displaying, in fact, that we ourselves have a form of ego that is not positive. When these people who are arrogant, disrespectful, and mean and nasty and full of pride and can't be proven wrong, and when they show who they really are, and your response is to immediately cut them out of your life, you yourself is guilty of the same thing that you're accusing them of. That's not how we deal with this. What we must do when we find individuals with this type of personality trait or character trait, we are to expose them to themselves in a respectful manner, in an intelligent way, because our purpose is to make every man, every woman better. But if you cut them off where they at and leave them, then you're not doing your job as a brother and sister. You are working out of ego yourself. So how can you correct someone who is wrong if you yourself are using the wrong measures and actions of correcting them? It's not about cutting them off. It's about giving us opportunity, because no one is perfect. It's about each one giving each one opportunity to better themselves, opportunity to correct themselves. The Most High himself has given us opportunity to better ourselves in our behavior, our thoughts, and our deeds. If the Most High was to cut us off for our sin, there will be none of us sitting here today. The Most High is void of ego. Think about it, family. We spit in his face. We disrespect him daily. And yet he still says, come, I want you to be here. Yet he still opens your eyes up in the morning. Yet he still gives you the opportunity to live life. He allows you to breathe his air that he provides. At what cost? At the cost of you still disrespecting him. So there is no ego when we're talking about the Most High. He's void of ego. He's the only being that's void of ego on this level of what we're talking about, spirituality. But men, women, we're full of ego. And the lesson today is to expose us to different parts of the ego that tears us up, that holds us back. One portion of the ego that a lot of us are not aware of is that ego exists in marriages. In marriages between a husband and a wife, a man and a woman, today you got to clarify that. Between a man and a woman, ego is present. And if the man hasn't had proper training, and I'm saying what I'm saying because I chose to make these words carefully, skillfully said these words to say what needed to be said so we understand. If the man has not been properly trained how to be a man, his ego will step in. His arrogance, his ego, his id will step in and rule in his household and make his wife, if she's a submissive wife, if she's obedient wife, and if she's worthy to be a wife, it will make her very unhappy. The marriage will be more like a jail sentence than a marriage. The marriage between a husband and wife will be more tumultuous than anything else because the man has not conquered his ego. The man moves in the spirit of ego and pride. He's abusive. He destroys anything that she brings. She got a great idea, and she's very intelligent. She's bringing some things to the table that this man can utilize, but because it's coming from a woman, you can't tell me nothing. You can't teach me nothing. That arrogance, that ego, that pride, it stands up in the mind of a man and it destroys the marriage. When the woman is in the household, I'm just naming a few things. You, who are the actual person that this is involved in your life, you can explain a whole lot deeper than I can. When a man is in his household and he tells his children to do something, and his wife tells them to do something, he might have told them first. And they began the process of doing it. And then the wife called them away from what they was doing with the man and had them do something that she wanted them to do, causing the man's directions to be interrupted to their children. Now, I agree that that's wrong. I agree. But if the man's ego kicks in, he begins immediately to enforce his authority over his woman by screaming, hollering, fussing, and being aggressive in his behavior to bring peace in the situation or to get what it was that he desired to have his ego fulfilled. The ego is the method that he utilized to correct the wrong of his wife. He used the ego. How dare you tell them? I just told them. And I'm better than you. I'm greater than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm the man. And therefore, hell has broken loose in his home again. Now, that type of behavior continues to happen for any significant amount of time. I mean, maybe a year's on end, over and over and over, 2, 3, 4 times a week, 8, 10, 12, 14 times a month. Just imagine how stressful that relationship would be. But I need you to know, family, that a lot of times in Israel, that's how marriages are. Because most males in Israel have not been trained to be men. There's a lot of them that's disagreeing with me right now. But I'm going to jump on my sisters for a minute. Sisters, and you can answer this honestly within your own mind. How many different males in Israel had you been with that you thought this was the one, that you sat down with to try to build a family with, that you submitted yourself to and gave yourself to, and may have become impregnated or may not have, but these different men that tried to rule the relationship with an iron fist, that destroyed your peace and your happiness within your comfortability of your mind, that just made you want to give up, throw in a towel, and sometimes commit suicide and kill yourself. Because it can get that bad, family. It can be that bad for a woman that's in a relationship with a man that's driven by his ego. Now, I'm not talking about the proper order of things because she stepped outside of the line. Remember, I said she was wrong for what she said. But the way that he exposed her to her errors was only his ego talking and not wisdom. For wisdom would have told him something else. But the ego rouses up and makes you feel like you've been disrespected and you gotta lash out. Even if you felt as though you've been disrespected, there's a way to bring that order back into order so that you can feel respected again, so that you can actually be respected again. There's a way of comfortability that you can speak to your wife or to your wives, your nashim, that will still allow their dignity to be in place when you cease from speaking. And a lot of males don't understand how important that is in this life that we're living. And it's usually learned behavior by bad people, bad men. And in Israel, we learn it from leadership, how to conduct ourselves in our households, and we take those behaviors home. That's why most marriages in Israel don't last past 5 years. Most marriages in Israel. And if you got one 7 years, it's stressed out and is on its way out the door. The average, not all, but the average. The only marriages that last for any significant amount of time in Israel today are those when a man understands his position, where a man has his ego in control. And don't let a man get a job, a position within the community where he becomes a prince or chief or moray, and his ego gets inflated and he knows not how to control it, because if he had peace in his life up until that moment and his ego starts to flare up, he will soon lose that peace in his life. And women, there's a form of ego that can be within you too that will cause you to miss out on a beautiful marriage. A lot of women feel like, you can't tell me what to do and you can't tell me nothing. Who are you to tell? You're not my father. That's not what this is about. As the head of the household, he's supposed to run this house. He's responsible for what takes place. And if he gives you a decree or an order or an instruction, you should do your very best to follow it through. Simply follow it through. But today, the way that they raise women today, a lot of females today are being raised with that attitude as if they're masculine, as if they're independent and they don't need anyone to tell them anything. A lot of women today are happy if the man just pays the bills and stays out of the house. As long as the bills are getting paid, they cool. They don't even have to have sex anymore today because they got toys and things that they can do to pass their time where they don't really need a man. And as long as they're getting their bills paid and somebody's providing for them, they're cool. And it's because when he's absent from the home, she has a dominant authority and her ego can flourish when nobody has to tell her what to do. And them children, they better do what I tell them to do. She would rather live like that than submit herself to the will of a husband. She walk around every day wearing pants because that's what she wants to do, because her husband is not there to tell her anything outside of that. And when he comes home and he makes a suggestion, she hits the fan. See, that's what I'm talking about. You're too demanding. You're too controlling. That's why I don't want it. A lot of females are like that. Sisters, what I'm saying to you is, if you have a husband, let him be your head. Whether he's in the house as much as not, however it is, let him govern you, your body, your mind, your school, your children, everything underneath of his responsibility. Let him govern it. Because if he's governing you in a righteous manner, it will work out better for you all in the end. It will be much better in the end for everyone. That's the difference. And these are the type of things that we need to learn to conquer our ego. So there is ego in marriages on both ends, the male and on the female side. So I just needed to bring that to your attention. So as we're reading and as we're going through our works today, so many things will be so much clearer for us. All right. So give me 1 second so I can break down today's lesson. So family, what I need you to do is I need you to turn with me to the book of Zephaniah. Now that you've had the backdrop, now it's time for us to get into the conversations. Before we get into the conversations, what I would like to do is I would like to have some of the sidebar conversations posted, whatever ones you feel needs to be posted in reference to this conversation thus far. Any of the comments on the side, can you post some of those, please, so we can have a brief conversation about those things? And then we're going to be into our readings in Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter.
Bear Autumn says, the idea of being cliquish as a nation is extremely silly and stupid because how are we supposed to become established as a nation with extremely negative attitudes like that?
Well, a lot of people do that. A lot of communities, they respond in that manner right there. They're cliquish, very cliquish. And if you're not of them or highly associated with them, you a newcomer. It's very difficult for you to get in. It's very difficult for you to learn the laws of the Most High because they may have some of the teachings, but the general principle and foundation of the laws of the Creator, they don't possess. And that is that this law is for everyone, especially for all of Israel. A lot of people don't know how to show kindness and gratitude and mercy and love toward each other. They don't know how to share. And I'm talking on the community side of things. Read on, please. Are there any other comments?
With that thought that the Creator gives us continuous mercy, how do we determine or can we stop giving others a chance to correct themselves?
Well, I'll tell it to you like this. The Most High's mercy is enduring, and we're not the Most High. We can only give but so much of an opportunity for people to correct themselves. You might give them 1, you might give them 2, you might even give them 3. My recommendation is don't be a fool for anyone. After 3 attempts of having the same conversation, this person is just not going to change and not going to be different until something drastic happens in their lives. But you can't allow that to hold you back from doing what it is that you must do to better you and to be a better individual. So after 2 or 3 attempts, that's all a person needs to get themselves in order. And if it's in righteousness, 1 attempt is fine. Because if they mean it and they're sincere about their correction, then they will change right away. Part of the problem in this is that a lot of people don't see when they're doing anything wrong. A lot of people don't know that they're offending you. And when you tell them you're offending them, the first thing they do is get on the defense and start howling, screaming, and cussing. They can't accept the fact that their ego kicks in. They can't accept the fact that they're wrong for doing what they're doing. Many of us are like that. But even when they get to that level, you have to maintain your discipline so that your ego doesn't kick in and you lose control and focus of you. So when people offend you and people attack you, you still have to maintain your level of self-control. Because if you don't, you can lose it and all is lost once that happens. It becomes a shouting match. And then see, a lot of people don't even shout with you. They don't even argue with you. They just hurt you because you have offended them. And they'll reach out and pull out something and bust upside your head or stab you, shoot you, whatever. Or they'll frame you and set you up. So you got to be surprised. Don't be surprised, but you got to be careful in how people respond if you lose control of who you are because they were disrespectful. So you got to be careful. You got to walk carefully and you got to tread lightly when you're dealing with people. And these could be people that you thought actually had some love for you in their heart. Remember, what's above the water is only a portion of the person's true identity. But what's below the water, what lies in the dark that you don't see, is so much more.
Cain, so many of us in healing definitely is needed for the woman and children whom have endured. and correction for the men. Israel needs to have these discussions because we are losing our women and children due to these type of situations.
Let me elaborate on this a little bit more. I'll look through Facebook, both male and women. And as I look, so many people have that status as single. Beautiful women, single. I wonder why. Nice looking males, single. I wonder why. Now, a lot of people want to blame that on the women, but I can't do that solely. I have to say it's both our faults, both the men and the women. And a lot of times the ego steps up in our relationships. We can hide it for the first 6 months, maybe a year. But after that, pride, arrogance, and ego begins to rise up in the relationships, and you have offended me. And the way that I respond to it, I lost control. We get in arguments all the time. We start fussing all the time. We start fighting all the time. And now we want to break from each other, so we separate. And you could have just missed out on the best thing that you ever had in your life because you did not know how to control your ego. So many of us are single and don't know why. I texted a young lady the other day. I had a young lady on my page, Facebook page, who she said, this is the story. She may be in here listening. I don't know. I hope she is. I sent her an invite this morning. This young lady, very, very beautiful young lady. And I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to start any confusion. But sis, if you're listening, please carefully hear what I'm saying. Very beautiful young lady. For a long time, and we've been friends for years, for a long time, she was single. She popped up with a guy now on her page. And she's advertising the guy how much she's so pleased that this guy is here. He's the bomb. He's the truth. You know, he does all this. He does all that. And I mean, less than 6 months later, she's single again. And you start seeing a post on her page again, asking about wanting to be married. This guy was a fraud. He came off one way. He did what he did, and then the real him showed out. I had to let him go. We had to separate. We couldn't do this. And I respect that if it's truthful. What we got to remember is you don't give your sex to these individuals. You don't have sexual intercourse. You know, you can engage in conversation. You might even visit and talk to and exchange information, but you don't give them the most prized possession that you're supposed to give to your husband and your husband only. And that's your physical body. You don't give that to them. But you can give them conversation. You can fill them out. You can court them, and then you leave it alone. And if they don't show themselves approved, where they are in control of themselves, and they're able to provide for you and your family, or to build a family, or you can see a future with this individual prospering in righteousness before the Almighty, then of course you shouldn't move forward with this relationship with this individual. But this particular lady was actually talking very strong and very positive about this brother. Whatever happened, they broke off. And now she's back on the pages looking and advertising how she's so single and she wants to be married and all the different things that she needs to do to be married. But I never see anyone check themselves for their wrongdoings, be it the man or the woman. I've never seen anyone get up there and confess their sins, the things that they know they did wrong in the past relationships that caused them to be single today. The number one cause of a lot of those things is your ego, because you don't master your ego. How dare you talk to me this way? Well, wait a minute. All I did was ask you to get off of Facebook. If you want to be my wife, why are you on Facebook advertising your body? Why? No one needs to see this but me, your husband, or your potential husband. No one needs to see this, so I'm asking you, can you get off of Facebook, please? Shut it down for a good 6 months or so. You don't have the right to tell me to close my Facebook page. That's the ego. That's pride. That's arrogance. Because Facebook is something that you don't have to have. And if you're off Facebook, more than likely you'll be improving in your personality, your character, because your mind is not being influenced with everyone else. Because the ways of this world, you don't realize it, but Facebook plants seeds in your subconscious mind. It destroys you subconsciously, and you don't even know it. It makes you desire. Why do you think people on Facebook is advertising different things now all over Facebook? Because subconsciously you see that, and subconsciously you begin to desire those things. So brothers, what I say to you is if you're having problems out of your woman, get her off Facebook for a while. Shut her down. And sometimes, brothers, you might need to get off of Facebook for a while. Social media in whole, because you could be out of order as well. And the influences that Facebook gives to you could cause you to step outside of your character from who you are. We got a lot of work to do, family, but we got to be in tune with that ego, because ego is on so many different levels and is here to destroy us. As a nation, we're going to dive into how ego destroyed us as a people. Nasik, did you have some more posts you wanted to put up first before we moved on? I want to give everybody an opportunity to be heard. So if you have some thoughts about this conversation, please share your thoughts before we move on.
She isn't ready to truly be a woman, a mother, or married to a man. So many need proper training and guidance.
Absolutely.
The Bear Autumn says, see, this is why families need to be heavily involved within the courtship process, no matter how old the individuals are.
Also something that is much needed. Absolutely.
Can I comment on that?
Okay.
That's definitely needed 100%. Many times, I would say, and I don't know if many of you have experienced this, but many times people come in the truth and their families are not present in the truth. And they may not be balanced in that courtship process due to the path that you have chosen too. I do agree 100% that family and or eldership of some sort, hopefully righteous ones, need to be present. So, but I do want to also say for those that may not have family, because some people don't have family. Some people don't have father or mother or uncles and things of that nature in this truth, and they found this truth without family. So in addition to that, I would say try your hardest to seek out righteous men and or women of elders that you have kind of tried as far as seeing their consistency as well, because you don't want just anyone to be over you and to help you, because sometimes their helping is not righteous at all. But I do encourage those that don't have a family to seek that out, because courtship process is important, and the examples that Prince brought out is due to many people failing due to not having that process, and then having sex too, by the way.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
A lot of men, once they have it, they lose interest in that woman. And I'm sure women do too, but I'm speaking of the men right now. Maybe Prince can let me know his thoughts on that, but they can lose interest. So that's why it's best to wait till you're actually married. And sometimes that fails too, because many people get under the idea of being married on their own, and it's easier for that man to leave now. You need some elders, some people that can hold that man accountable. But with that, I yield.
May the Most High be praised. Total Rabbanasi. Now, with that marriage thing, and we're going to get back to our subject of ego, but with that marriage thing, I need you all to understand this too. The Creator made a law for us to divorce a woman. And when a man divorces a woman, he's supposed to give a woman a bill of divorce. There is no law that says that when a man marries a woman, he has to give her a bill of marriage, a certificate of marriage. But as a custom, we have learned that that is what's best. So if you enter into a courtship, before actually accepting the marriage that you are married to an individual, make sure you get it in writing. So you can verify that you are married, that you were married, get it in writing. And this also means that you should be underneath some type of leadership, structured leadership, that can give you a documentation saying that this is your husband, this is your wife, with a seal, a stamp, and signatures on it. In a lot of states, you can take that and you can put that on record with the state, and you will have a religious ceremony, a religious marriage on record with the state that he is your husband. You can take those documents, send them to the Social Security office, change your last name. Because we got to stop playing with marriage, family. In Israel today, we seriously have to stop playing with these marriages. If you're going to be married fully. Fully. And just stop doing these little silly things that we keep doing. The moment that our ego steps in, we out. We don't know how to get along because we arguing, we fighting with each other because we don't know how to master our ego. Therefore, Israelite marriages last 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, marriage is over. It's because we only interested in one thing, and that's whoopee. The girl interested in whoopee, she ain't had it in a long time. The dude interested in whoopee because she got a nice basar and he want to see what she tastes like or what she feel like. So he just got to have her. And it's not done in righteousness. And we call it a marriage. And then as soon as she does something or he does something that's displeasing to us, our egos kick in and we begin to go back and forth at it for a period of time. And then we don't want it no more. We get a divorce. And sometimes the woman is walking away impregnated or pregnant or got several children by this individual, but the marriage is over and done with. And there's no one to hold him accountable. There's no one to hold her accountable. It's just over. Part of the reason is because you entered into it the wrong way. You didn't want to listen. People gave you advice. You didn't want to hear what they had to say. Your hormones was racing and you jumped into it because you felt you got control of this because you think you grown. And then when all hell breaks loose, who you think is there to pick up the slack except those people who try to explain to you not to do this thing? It's not good, family. We got to bring some order and structure to this nation. And we got to start right now. If you take a wife, give her documentation to verify she is your property. And I ain't making a mistake. She is your property. A lot of people might have a problem with that, but that ain't nothing but your ego stepping in. All throughout the scriptures, you'll see where that woman belongs to that man. She belongs to that man so well that if that woman makes a vow before the Creator Almighty in the secrecy of her own closet, the moment that her husband hears it, he can disannul that vow. That's how much that woman belongs to that man. But when our ego steps in, ain't nobody ruling over me, ain't nobody the boss of me, because you don't have no structure, no order, no discipline. You don't have no control over your ego. And we must master ego because ego is destroying us terribly. We have to understand that. Sometimes ego destroys friendships between brothers because one brother feels this other brother's getting something that he's supposed to have. And his ego steps in. And now all of a sudden he cheating his brother. He don't give his brother the full exchange of respect that he's supposed to give him. So he start backing off, disrespecting him, talking about him behind his back, not coming around as much and not participating and helping out as much. It's because he's allowed ego to get into his spirit. In Beulah and TempleKefarym, we teach this. And this is what we teach. Y'all ready? This is what we teach. You got a problem with your brother, you talk to your brother. Then don't let it fester 2 or 3 days because ego's going to build up and build up and build up. And ego's going to have division in sight, separation in sight. And it could have been all a big misunderstanding because you really didn't understand what your brother said. You thought you understood. And don't let it be a text message because you know a lot of times in the text message, all you hear is the voice that you want to hear inside your mind, the tone that the person had when they text the message. But because you allowed ego to get in, now that separation between you and that brother who would die for you, that brother would lay down his life for you. But you separated from that brother because you thought he had something that you deserved, something that should have been yours and given to you. He got it. Or he accomplished something that you've been working hard to do. He made it look easy, and he did it easily. So all of a sudden in your mind, you built up a motion of negativity toward that brother. That brother didn't know you was doing that. He didn't, even if he did know you was doing it, he didn't do anything wrong by being able to successfully do in 2 days what you couldn't do in 6 months. There's another part of ego that a lot of people don't see. It's going to jump off the conversation that I just had about somebody being able to accomplish something that you've been trying to do for a long time. They came right in, successfully did it, and made you feel some kind of way. And what you do in this part of the ego is this. You begin to emulate what you like about an individual. You begin to desire those things for yourself, but yet you can't accomplish it. You can't do it. Let me give you a better example of what I want to say. I've been studying Hebrew. Just an example, family. I've been studying the language Hebrew for 40 years, learning it, trying to master it, and I just can't seem to speak it fluently like I want. Every time I go to Israel, I'm always getting bombarded with that fast talk speech in Israel in the Hebrew language. And I can't seem to get through it like I want. Then a young brother, been in his way of life for what, 11 years now, Seek, comes in and we go to Israel together. And when I get stuck, now I've been here for 30-something years. When I get stuck, when somebody's talking to us, Nasik says, oh, no, Prince, this is what he said. How do you think that's going to make me feel? It's going to make me feel like a fool because I'm supposed to know. But I would only feel like a fool if my ego steps in. Because here I believe that the man that is most qualified for the job is the one who should be doing the job. And y'all going to hear me say this periodically because this is truthfully what I understand to be correct. Instead of me getting angry with my brother or coming back home feeling some kind of way about my brother, and he knows I've been studying this longer than him, but yet he knows it better than me. Man. And this is what really happens with a lot of people. We build up a hatred for the individual. And it starts silently. It starts small. But it actually grows and grows and grows. And it's all because we allowed our ego to go unchecked. We allowed our ego to go unchecked. Therefore, we just created an enemy with a brother who would actually lay down his life for us. All because what we find difficult to master, he masters so easily. And we become jealous and envious. It's something that we've been trying to do for many years, but we haven't been able to do it. And then this brother stands up in one day and he's able to do it. How is that possible? A lot of times because the Creator gives people different gifts. And this person gravitates toward that gift easier than you because a part of his brain is receptive toward the lessons that he's receiving, where yours is not. There should be no anger, bitterness, or strife between brothers in the brotherhood. There should be no negativity. If there is, you speak on it at that moment and you destroy it so that it doesn't grow. You can respect that kind of person. May the Father of all creation, the Father of heaven, the Father of us all hear my prayers as I come before you. We, your children, have made many decisions in our lives. We have done many things that were against what you would have for us to do in your divine plan. Many of us have struggled with your servants, the holy angels, that speak in your name, and we have rejected good counsel. But the day has come, Father. The time is now. Grant unto us another chance, Father. Speak unto us as in the days of old, when the mountains trembled and the earth quaked and the mere sound of your voice. Back unto the days When there was no guessing, everybody knew about the power of Yisrael in his mighty hand. And your holy people were feared because the world knew of the strength of our protector. Please, Father, make it like the days of old when your holy ones will call and immediately you would answer. Please, Father, do away with all our worries. Rid us of all evil spirits and forces that are not like you, that possess our soul. And renew within us a clean spirit, a right spirit, and allow us to serve you forever in truth and peace until the end of days. The highest honor, the highest respect that can be given by man belongs unto his master, the Most High Zivaot, master of all creation. Oftentimes before great destruction, family, I got to share this with you because you need to know this thing. Oftentimes before great destruction, the Almighty sends to the guilty a messenger to cause us to change our ways. Will you hear the messenger when he speaks? Ask yourself that, family. Will you hear the messenger when he speaks to you? All right. Let's read on. Can I get a volunteer to read, please? And we're going to read in Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, verse 1.
Do you want me to pull it up on the screen, Prince, or keep it like it is? You're frozen, by the way.
You can go back and forth. Pull up the screen and then bring me back on, pull up the screen, however you choose.
All right, you're all frozen right
Yeah,
now, just so you. Okay, you said Zephaniah 3.
Yeah, Zephaniah 3. And if it kicks me out, you just keep reading. If it kicks me out, I'll come back in and then I'll continue where I left off. But this is very, very interesting. But remember what today's lesson is about: the many challenges of the ego. And as we read the book of Zephaniah, we're going to see a lot of chances when the ego would rouse up within the people to cause the people to be disrespectful to the Creator. It's going to show us time after time after time where the ego is what sets in to make us prideful, arrogant, stiff-necked, rebellious against the Almighty himself. So therefore, if we'll do these things against the Almighty, how much more will we do this against our brothers and sisters and people that claim to love us? Let's move forward, please.
Zephaniah 3, verse 1. Sulid, polluted, overbearing city. She heeds no call, has learned no lesson. She has not trusted in Elohim. She has drawn near to her Elohim.
Now stop for a second. She heeds no lesson. She's learned no lesson, which means that the Creator would correct her, but her ego would step in and convince her that she's done nothing wrong. She hasn't changed her behavior. And when we talk about she, family, I need you to understand, we're not talking about the female. We're talking about Israel. The Most High refers to us as a she. That's how he refers to the nation of Israel in comparison to himself, because we are his bride. Remember that. So he's saying that with all that she's done wrong, you individually, because I want you all to look at yourselves as we read this, because none of us are perfect. But if we don't examine the character traits of our own soul, then this nation will never get better. If we keep pointing the finger, looking out at everybody else and assuming that this lesson is about everyone else, then the nation will never get better. We have to accept these words because we are the ones that the Creator is speaking about right now. And as righteous as you attempt to live your life, there are still things within your character that needs to be improved upon. Read on, please.
Verse 3. The officials within her are roaring lions. Her judges,
Even the officials within us are wicked. Those people you put your trust in, they'll come together for wicked causes to bring about wicked results. They're lions. They only seek to devour you, to consume you. They don't stand on the principles of righteousness. They stand on the principles of what they desire to see take place. And that's almost in every instance. People are really, really persuaded to do the things that bring them great pleasure. And a lot of times that great pleasure is just seeing you do bad. A lot of times people get great pleasure out of watching you have a hard time in life. It's their egos that has built up inside of them against something that you have inside of you that they don't have. And it can be something simple. Read on, please.
her judges are wolves of the steppe. They leave no.
Even the people that they use to judge the matter are wicked. Wolves seeking blood, just wanting to destroy because their egos have rose up inside of them. Read on, please.
They leave no bone until morning. 4. Her prophets are reckless, totally faithless. Her priests profane what is holy. They give perverse rulings.
So there's almost nobody you can turn to when you're dealing with a wicked people like this. The leadership is corrupt. The priest is corrupt. The judges who you put to handle matters are all corrupt. With such an evil and negative and wicked generation of people, what can we do? How can we serve the Creator in righteousness if the majority of all that is established on wicked foundation? If we don't understand how the ego works, all we'll ever have is a wicked foundation, and Israel will be divided. Israel will remain divided unless we begin to understand and recognize ego and put it in check. Our marriages will not work. Our relationships with other brothers and sisters will not work. Our relationship with the Almighty will not work. Therefore, the nation will stay divided just as we are today. Read on, please.
Verse 5. But the Most High in her midst is righteous and does no wrong. The Most High issues judgment every morning, as unfailing as the light. The wrongdoer knows no shame.
The Most High issues judgment every morning. When he allows you to wake up, it is his judgment, but it's his mercy because he has compassion upon you. Every day, the Most High allows this wicked person to wake up. He wants you to get better. So therefore, he gives you opportunity. The Creator says he desires not the death of the wicked. Ezekiel, the 18th chapter. But yet that the wicked will live. So therefore, a lot of us who say Creator, Creator, and don't really live Creator, Creator, the Most High gives us an opportunity to change our ways. But it's up to us to desire to be better, to do better. It's up to us. What will you do when you wake up tomorrow and you had that dream exposing you to the wicked side of you? A lot of people dream perverted dreams. Well, when you dream those type of things, it's showing you that it's something about your character that you need to bring under submission and control. A lot of you dream dreams of hurting people, harming people, or getting into arguments with people. It's only showing you that there's a side of you that you have to master, a side of you that you need to bring under control. Now, sometimes the Most High gives you prophetic dreams where you would have dreams about what people are doing to you, and he's exposing you to it prior to it happening. So he's letting you know that this thing is about to come. Be prepared for it and don't lose control. Execute with precision and accuracy what needs to be executed. But don't lose control when you howling and screaming and fussing and fighting with individuals out in the middle of the street that's supposed to be your brother and supposed to be your sister. I have seen relationships with two females who grew up together, called themselves sisters, had keys to each other's houses, and began to fight in the middle of the street one day. It's all because of ego. You said this about me, and you said that about me. It's ego. And had we just level-headed, respectfully, calm down and say, hey, bro, what's up? You all right? No, I'm not all right, because I heard you said, oh, no, that person is lying. That's not the truth. That's not what I said. That's not the way I did it. That wasn't my approach. Instead of that, we go back to back, war to war, face to face, gun to gun, knife to knife, and we trying to hurt each other and harm each other. So when you heard that somebody said something about you, the first thing you did was you rebelled and you got evil and negative and your ego stood in. So you felt like you had to defend your honor by saying something negative about them. And you exposed a secret that that person entrusted in your hands. You told it to somebody else. And all along that person was lying to you about what the individual said about you. But because you didn't stay and maintain your discipline and your control and your loyalty to your friend, your brother, your sister, you exposed that they had a venereal disease that they couldn't get rid of. You kept it for 20 years as long as you didn't have to tell nobody. And then soon as you felt like they did something evil to you, you embarrassed them. You try to shame them. You try to disgrace them by exposing their sickness, something that they can't fix. That's how powerful the ego is. As long as it's smooth sailing, you're good. And you know how to deal with people. But when it's smooth sailing, family, what you see is what's above the water. That iceberg, as it rises 50 feet above the water, that's all you see. You don't see what lays underneath of the ocean in the dark in people's character, personality, until you test them. So what you should do is test them. Don't always come to somebody with a smile on your face and cheery and trying to help them. Turn them down. Stop doing what you do for them. Stop spoiling them. Go in a different direction with them and see if that turns their spirit in a different direction towards you. Because if it does, the moment that you realize that, you should have a conversation with them to salvage that relationship and build your relationship off of true principles, honor, integrity, loyalty, trust, and love and respect. Build it off of the true principles of a foundation of a righteous relationship. Everybody needs to go through those cycles in order for you to determine the type of individual that you're truly walking with. Y'all understand me? I pray that y'all do. I pray that y'all understand. Read on, please.
Verse 6. I wiped out nations. Their corner towers are desolate. I turned their thoroughfares into ruins, with none passing by. Their towns lie waste with nobody around, without inhabitants. 7.
All this destruction came upon us because, why? Anybody know?
Ego.
Because we lived in our ego. We did not work together. We did not do what was displeasing to us. Most people do what is pleasurable to them all the time. And they try to stay in that level of comfortability where it's always pleasuristic to them, where they benefit, where they have the upper hand in situations. Very few people go and take on the challenge of being dissatisfied, displeased, unhappy, but yet fight through it. This part right here, I think, is very good. Most people wants the comfortability of life and not the struggles of life. Therefore, most people are no good. Do y'all understand what I'm saying to you? If you're not willing to go through the hardship, the struggles, and the pains and the sufferings of life to earn the right to have the benefit and the blessings of life, chances are you won't be a good person. I met a family not too long ago that lived out on some land. And when you go out to this land, the place was really, really, really a very hard place to survive in. This family lived out in this land for many years. Through the winters, through the summers, it was cold, it was hot, and they survived. I met another family that their father and mother was together, and they lived in New York, in the city. They had a mother and a father in the house. Father had a good job. He went to work every day, brought his money home. He spent time with his children. And they had a pretty good life, you know. They had 2 cars in the household. They had a driveway. But now this family, the children grow up and become murderers, rapers. One of the boys was a rapist. 2 of the girls was homosexuals. 2 of the boys went to jail frequently. One wanted to stick up and rob. You ask the question as to why these individuals would be this way. Now, the people, the first family that I mentioned, that lived on land for many years, they have a personality about them because they suffered through the hardship of life, the reality of life, that each one of them have a characteristics and a trait that mimics the other. And you know what that characteristics and trait was? They was honorable. They were disciplined. They shared. They was committed to a cause. I seen them work together with no questions asked to bring about positivity and greatness. Not one of them has ever been to jail. Not one of them has ever raped an individual, stole from an individual. And if they took something by accident, they would bring it back to you and apologize for what they did. Those people, some of them, went out and got a home. They left the land and went out and got a home. And when they got that home, they embraced the neighborhood and helped others in the neighborhood to be better people. See, they earned the right to be able to do that. They earned the right to be a profitable asset to humanity. But those people that I knew from New York who grew up in the city and had a decent household with running water and electric and gas and the luxuries of life, 2 and 3 cars, and a paycheck coming in every week, they grew up to be horrible people. Now, there's 2 scenarios here. 2 scenarios. In one scenario, the people had everything that they needed, plus they had the people in society living around them, and they interchange with behavior in that society naturally, always, all the time. So they learned the ways of the world through their neighbors, through televisions, through broadcasts, and many other things. But the flip side was the people who grew up on the land. Pure-blooded, pure breed, love, joy. All they got to do was exchange information with each other, help each other, love each other, care after each other. But now the people who grew up in the city look at the people who grew up on the land and shun them and feel bad about them and feel sorry for them. But in reality, the people who we should really feel sorry for are the people who grew up in the city, because they're not an asset to humanity, to society. They don't possess the spiritual development of those who lived in that community on that land. There's a great difference. A lot of the people that are in the cities are bombarded with evil and wickedness daily. But the people who lived on the land, that are only surrounded by like-minded people with them, their lives was filled and enriched with the profitable things that life needs to bring in order for humanity to prosper. The people in New York, all their lives was filled with destruction, evil, wickedness, chaos, turmoil, and suffering. And all they did was chase the dollar. The people who lived on the land, if they had $50, they all had $50. And everybody got to get what they needed or share whatever they can get from that $50. And they were happy and content, whatever they had. It's beautiful. And I'm telling you, I'm opening up like that because the power that exists in communal living is nowhere near what you get when you live in the city around a bunch of evil and wicked spirits. It's horrible. So you got to go through the struggles in life, early on in life, to make you a better individual in the end. Those people who grew up with the silver spoon in their mouths, most of those people are full of pride, envy, hatred, jealousy, and wickedness. But those people who struggled early in life are the most pleasant, the most beautiful, the most receptive people that I've ever met in my life. And I pray that it never changes. They have taught me lessons about myself by being in their company and absorbing their energy. Taught me about me as a man. So what am I saying, family? I'm saying that a lot of times when you go through the struggles of life, it erases that ego from your behavior, from your personality. And you become the complete opposite of ego. If somebody offends you or do something wrong in that community, you bring it to their attention and we deal with it right away. But in the world, in the streets, somebody offends you, you screaming, you hollering, you fighting, and if you were face to face, you want to shoot, you want to harm, you want to hurt them. There's two different realms of existence that we are existing in today. There's a lot for us to learn by the people who grew up with the minimum or the bare minimum necessities in life, and they came together as a family, worked together, looked out for each other, and did what we needed to do as a team, as opposed to the individuals who grew up in the cities with everything that they needed and was polluted with the wickedness of the cities. There's a great difference, a big difference. And we can all benefit. We can all benefit by taking this lesson today and applying it to our innermost self, so we can see who we are, how much we have underneath of the ocean that exists within us that needs to be destroyed, that needs to be taken out of the equation, so that what's above the water far surpasses what's below the water. There's always going to be a part of you that's dark, always. And I'm not going to tell you to get rid of those dark sides, because it's, as my Nasik here would say, you have to have balance in everything. So you always keep a portion of that darkness within your essence, but at a minimum, at an extreme minimum. The majority of you must be that which is seen above the water. Your character, your personality, your behavior, your spirit, your understanding. Display it to the world. But that darkness part of you that's below the water, that small portion that you got to shrink, you keep it there for those who just can't be corrected. For times when people want to come against you to hurt, harm, or try to take your life, or try to do things to the ones that you care most about. You have to have a portion of that there, so that when it's time to utilize it, you don't freeze, you don't hesitate, you don't pause, and you're very successful, so that you can preserve the lives of those who are closest to you. So don't never walk around like a Christian saying, you smack me on the left and I'm going to turn around and let you smack me on the right. You steal my coat, I'm going to give you my shoes too. That's the Christian mentality. That's not Torah. That's not the mentality of the Most High. The Most High says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So that dark side that you're reserving, You utilize that in this time of need, but you utilize it because of discipline and control. You don't just let it jump out and take control of you. You master that ego. You master it and put it under subjection. Read on, please.
Verse 7. And I thought that she would fear me, would learn a lesson, and that the punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her.
He thought that that's what would happen. But instead, what happened?
All the more eagerly they have practiced corruption in all their deeds.
Yo, family, this is talking about every one of us. The Most High had mercy on us and thought that he would give us a certain way, an opportunity to better ourselves. He thought. He gave us chance after chance after chance. But what did we do with it? How did we improve? How did we be better? Women, how did we learn from that last relationship that we gave ourselves to, thinking that it would be so much better when we came around? How did we learn from that relationship when we went into this new relationship with the new guy? What behaviors did we change? Did we make him wait and prove himself that he was to be a good fit for our lives? Did you do that? Or did you do what you did in the last relationship and just give it up real quick and submit yourself to it, his authority and his ability, and just jump all in one shot? Or did you make him wait and prove to you that he could lead you properly, that he is a man of the Most High, that he can provide for you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially? Did you do those things, sis? Or did you do what you did the last time? Well, the Most High pulled you out of that situation the first time in hopes that you would have learned something, but you didn't. And brothers, same thing with you. You lost control. You got in an argument. You lost control. Your ego stepped in and you beat this man down because you didn't know how to, what is that? What did they call that? When you have conflict, you didn't know how to resolve the conflict righteously. So the first thing you do is you turn to what you understood the world has taught you, and that's to use your hands, use your mouth, and use a weapon to destroy those who come up against you. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary. You have to learn how to deal with conflict. When someone comes against you and say and do things that are not, yes, conflict resolution, Toda Rabbah. You have to learn how to deal with these things in a manner that's appropriate so that you can maintain your dignity and your respect after you handle your business. Many of us haven't learned that. So therefore, you act a fool. The brother did something, he said something, you punched him in the mouth. He swung back, you end up beating him up. He go call the cops, you go to jail. Now you're in jail and you're thinking to yourself, what could I have done better? But if you'd have been in mastering yourself and not allowed your ego to step in, you would have handled it correctly the first time around. Now you get out of jail and you beat the case. You give the credit or glory and say, oh, thank you, Abi. Thank you for blessing me and protecting me and allowing me to get out of this situation. And then you're challenged again. This time with a female. And what do? Do you pass or do you fail? Did you learn your lesson the first time by losing control and allowing your ego to step in? Do you know how many men are incarcerated right now that wish they had just waited 2 more seconds before they responded? 2 more seconds to rationalize and think prior to just letting that ego go and letting it flow, because your ego will destroy you. Read on, please. Creator gave us opportunity after opportunity, but every time he gave us opportunity, we failed. We failed. And our egos crept in and we did wickedness.
Verse 7. And I thought that she would fear me, would learn a lesson, and that the punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her. Instead, all the more eagerly they have practiced corruption in all their deeds. But wait for me, says Elohim, or says the Most High, for the day when I arise as an accuser, when I decide to gather nations, to bring kingdoms together, to pour out my indignation on them, all my blazing anger. Indeed, by the fire of my passion, all the earth shall be consumed.
All the earth shall be consumed. All evil and wicked doers shall be consumed in this earth. When the Most High brings together the nations and set ablaze all those things that are unlike what he would have for us to be doing in this earth. What am I saying? I'm saying that many of us will suffer in this life because we refuse to seek good counsel, righteous counsel. We refuse to hear the words of the Most High when he gives us the warning. When the Most High says to us, hey, listen, I just brought you out of that situation. Now, how are you going to handle it now? You asked me to preserve you. You asked me to save you in this situation. And he saves you from that situation, and you go right back to it again. Now, I mean, I'm speaking from my own personal experiences. My own personal life, I've experienced this myself. And every time I teach with y'all, every time I teach and instruct, I share with you personal things, letting you know that I'm not greater, better, stronger, any well-built, better than I was many, many years ago. I'm just intelligent. I'm just dedicated. I'm just loyal. I'm just got more consistent with serving this king as opposed to the person I was before when I was weaker. Spiritually weaker. I'm not talking about the physical. I'm talking about the spiritual strength that when something challenges us or opposes us, we get prideful and arrogant. These are the things we have to remember. Because for my personal life, I thought I was strong. I thought I could handle things. And I remember one situation I had gotten in, while in the midst of this situation, holding this person down, I prayed to the Creator. I said, Creator, save me out of this situation, please. And I ain't never coming back. I ain't never going to revisit this situation again, ever. He saved me out of that situation right after I got finished speaking. And I mean, less than a month later, I was right back in that same situation, but worse. Ego. We feel entitled. We feel like we're supposed to, you know? And these things happen within us. You don't suppose to say this about me. I'm Prince. I'm your husband. I'm a man. You ain't supposed to do that or think like that about me. And that's ego stepping in. Arrogance, pride. That's not how we're supposed to handle these things. I did. And I ended up back in that same situation for 3 more years until the Creator said enough is enough. And what did he say? He punishes us. That 3 years was a 3-year punishment. But I didn't realize it because, and I'm going to drop a jewel on you, family, so you'll know. But the Creator gives you over to your desires. When you desire something that the Most High showed you that is no good for you, if he allows you to get back to it, he'll give you completely over to it. You will lose yourself in that thing. And it's usually all because of your ego that you desired it in the beginning. You will lose yourself in trying to conquer or even just try to be happy in a situation that you know in your soul you shouldn't be in. You have to alleviate yourself. You have to honor the Creator in all things. And you have to follow his instructions. And when he saves you from a situation, Know that he saved you and never return. And keep it moving. Too many of us want to backtrack like the dog who threw up. He walked away, came back, and he ate his throw up. And that's how a lot of us are in these relationships. The Most High saved us by getting it away from us, and then we go back and force ourselves back into those situations. And if it ain't with the same person, it's with the next person. And if you keep finding yourself in situations with people after people after people who all have the same character trait and the same characteristics, then they're not the problem, you are. The problem exists within you. You keep attracting these type of people in your circle. So it's something about you that's unfulfilled in your personality that you desire from these types of people. Or you're creating these types of people by you being the type of person that you are. Let's be careful, family. When the Most High removes you from a situation, stay away from that situation. Don't go back to that same situation again. And any situation that even comes up that's even closely resembling that situation, you prove it to make sure that it's worthy of your presence. So we've covered a lot today in today's lesson. We've covered a lot. A lot of different areas of life we have covered. It's all dealing with the ego. I have not gotten through half the notes and pages and information that I have on ego. I didn't get through half of it. So we can continue on. Now, Seek, let's bring this portion to the close, and we'll jump on the second part of it. And we're going to do this to about 1:45, and then we'll start taking questions.
Verse 9. For then I will make the peoples pure of speech.
He's
that
going to
they-
give us a pure tongue. And actually, the word in Hebrew is lips. He's going to give us a pure lip. And that pure lips means that we're going to speak righteously. We're going to talk purely. We go right now, the lips we're using right now. what did Jeremiah, Isaiah in the 6th chapter, 6 and 4, I think it was, he says something about, I am a people of unclean lips. Mm-hmm. The words we use are unclean and filth. Isaiah understood that. He confessed that. And then the Most High is saying he will return to the people pure lips, pure speech, a pure language in so many words, but it's purifying the lips. That means that you have to have a certain level of discipline to have pure lips. That the words you say are words because you know what you're saying and not because you lost control in the fit of emotions to speak words to prove a point because you felt offended or disrespected. That's not what this is about. That's a weak man. That's a weak woman. Oh, you can't say that about me. And you lash out. It's a sign of weakness. Husbands within the household, you lashing out at your woman, that's a sign of weakness. Your woman in your house should never, ever make you raise your voice. She can't do that. And if you ever raise your voice in your house, at that moment, you have lost control and you have become weak. Remember this, family, because you might have walked a long walk. You might be 30 years old now as a man and never learned these lessons. And it's okay because you're learning them today. In your home, you should never have to raise your voice. Definitely never have to raise your hands. If you do, it's time for you to find a new home. And if you find that you consistently have to raise your voice, consistently in your household, then you ain't paying attention to what's going on in your family. Humble yourself, sit down, have conversation respectfully with your wife, your children, or your nashim. Have conversation with them. Do not allow that ego to rise up inside of you when you start saying, well, I'm the man. And what I say is what it's going to be. You're going to do what I say you're going to do, because that will turn physical. Or that will turn in her mind a spiritual deprivement, and she will become unhappy. And you don't want that. Not as a man trying to build a nation and seeking after righteousness. You don't want that. So master yourself. Stay in control of yourself at all times. And women, learn you're a man. If you know that a certain thing you do takes your husband in the wrong direction, then learn not to do those things. And if you're determined to do those things, then find a way that you can respectfully present that thing to your husband without causing him to become enraged or aroused or upset and hurt and angry. There's always a way, family, for us to achieve a better result than giving in to the lower self. Always remember that. If she's out of order, you can correct her without you becoming weak. And if you're out of order, then you have to fix yourself in a manner that's going to maintain your dignity and respect. You have to. Because if you don't, this nation is not going to build up and come together like it's supposed to be. Read on, please. And ultimately, y'all know that this was what it's about, right? This is about building this nation. So that they are involved, Elohim by name, so that they all invoke the Most High by name and render service with one accord. Do you just that little portion right there? Do you see how powerful that is? So that they all call upon the name of the Most High and do things according to His word on one accord. Israel is so divided right now. We have about 4 or 5 different dates for Passover because Israel has no structure, let alone the regular dates because of the seasons, the mishaps. We don't have no structure, family. Therefore, everybody is moving at their own accord. We got multiple different names that we call the Creator. So we're not calling on the Most High with one accord by name. We're not calling on the Most High one accord by actions because we interpret the laws differently and everybody do them differently. So how are we invoking the name of the Most High on one accord today? And then we even got some people within the community and they still have that separation points because of their ego. I had this before I met Prince. I ain't letting this go just because he, a man, said that it ain't right. I'm going to do my own way, and I just ain't going to say nothing to Prince. That's ego, bro. That's ego, sis. That's all that is. If you got any issues, any problems, we should be at a table solving those issues. Make me prove why I say what I say. Make me prove it. That's just how it has to be. But if I ain't doing it, he ain't nobody, he just a man just like me, we will never get nowhere in this society, in this culture, in this community, if we have that attitude. I'm just going to do it in my house. No, you got to destroy that spirit. Because if you did it in your house and you know that what you're doing in your house is not what is done through the community, then that creates something with you called animosity. And you will not be able to fully submerge yourself into the community, the brotherhood, and the love that we have for each other. There will always be a void, an emptiness within you because you haven't fully given yourself to the cause. There should be no differences between us, none. If there are, we should be sitting at a table discussing those differences. Because a lot of times, every man is right in his own mind. And until what you believe in is challenged, you will accept it to be right. And nobody could tell you anything different. And it could be just one of those little small differences that causes a great turmoil and eruption within the community. So we have to remember this, family. We always have to have these conversations. Communication is key. And don't just communicate without coming to a resolution at the end of communication. We all must come to a resolution if we expect to do what that scripture just said, to serve the Most High on one accord. You can't be keeping something in your back pocket and everybody else hungry, and you got it in your back pocket, and every time you go home, you take a little nibble off of it, and then come back in the presence of the people while they're still hungry, and you satisfied a little bit, and then you say, man, I'm hungry too. That's not good. That's deception. That's wickedness. And that will cause us all to perish, and probably you too. Read on, please.
Verse 9, for then I will make the peoples pure of speech, so that they all invoke the Most High by name and render service with one accord. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my suppliants shall bring offerings to me in fair Puzai. In that day, you will no longer be shamed for all the deeds by which you have defied me. For then I will remove the proud and exultant one within you.
He's going to remove the what?
Proud and exultant within you.
I'm going to remove the ego from you. That's what he's saying. Ego was the result of all that destruction that we just read about earlier. The Most High is saying, master it. And if you master it, we will conquer a lot of the problems that we have as a people. Learn to master ego. Read on, please.
And you will be haughty no more.
You will be what?
Haughty no
Haughty,
more.
arrogant, stuck up, conceited. You'll be that no more on my sacred mountain.
12. But I will leave within you a poor, humble folk, and they shall find refuge in the name of the Most High.
Stop right there for a second. Earlier, I gave you a scenario about two families. One family was living in the woods, and one family was living in the city. And that one right there, the Most High just mentioned, was the ones living out in the woods. The poor, humble shall be rewarded in the name of the Most High. This is the type of spirit that the Most High wants us to employ. That humble spirit. The spirit of humility. The spirit of compromise. The spirit of working things together, helping each other, moving as one unit. I've never seen that. I personally have never seen that when Great Riches was involved. I've only seen that when people were broke. It's not that it can't happen. It's not that it can't happen. But it's best displayed when people don't have the luxuries of the world that the world has to offer. It's usually those who are deprived of all that exuberant excess of mess. Because I know myself, I'm most happiest on land. My spirit is most alive on land with the bare minimums. I'm most happiest there. I just got to just be honest and straight. And I got the luxuries of whatever I want here in Philadelphia. Wherever I want to sleep, whatever I want to drive, wherever I want to go, I have the ability to do so. It does nothing for my soul. What feeds my soul most is being on the land in the midst of my people with a spirit that's similar to mine, with a goal that matches mine, with a pure honesty. That's where mine is. I feel best right there. In the city, you always constantly looking around. You're worried about who's plotting to come and get you. I went to a party the other day, my daughter's party. She had a celebration for her marriage. She had like a reception. She got married back in August, but they had the reception the other day. So there's a lot of people there that I didn't know. And I had my little coat on. I'm standing with my garb on, kufi, standing in the back. I'm just looking, and I looked like an outcast to so many of them. A lot of them didn't know who I was. But I'm sitting back and I'm looking at what we call fun today. What we call people in society having a good time. Everybody laughing, joking, smiling, dancing, drinking, snorting, smoking. And we all think that that's what a good time is all about. The illusion of that good time is what that was about. Their souls are still empty. Now I come home on the land, right? When I come home on the land and we go up in one of them campers and we sit down and we break bread and we talking about the Creator and talking about each other and just smiling and enjoying with no alcohol, no weed. We sitting around a fire and just chilling. Oh man, oh, you can't match it. See, that's something you can't. Oh, it ain't nothing like it. But it's a pureness to it. It's a pureness to it that you will never forget these times. And you all bond in a totally complete different way than that superficial way when you're drinking that alcohol and smoking that weed. Those things are different. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful, but I'm saying all these things to let you know that the absence of access brings about the excess of a spirit. It purifies you in a different way. It enhances you in a completely different way. And I'm so thankful that I got to experience that. I'm so thankful because it meant the world to me. I was just looking around in amazement, like, wow. And then to have the opportunity to sit down and talk with the different individuals, it was just mind-blowing. It was beautiful. You know, it was great. So let's move on. Let's move on, please.
13. The remnant of Israel shall do no wrong and speak no falsehood. A deceitful tongue shall not be in their mouths. Only such as these shall graze and lie down, with none to trouble them.
The remnant of Israel shall do no wrong and speak no falsehood. So that means we're not going to sin always. A deceitful tongue shall not be in their mouths. So if he's saying that a deceitful tongue will not be in their mouths, then what's in our mouths now? How many people do you know that told you they're going to do something that they didn't do? How many people promised you something and it was never fulfilled? How many people do you know just say they did not do something and you know they did it? Just lie. The deceitful tongue is in their mouths. And a lot of us have that deceitful tongue. Read on, please.
"14. Shout for joy, fair Zion. Cry aloud, O Yisrael. Rejoice and be glad with all your heart, fair Jerusalem. The Most High has annulled the judgment against you and swept away your foes. Israel's sovereign Most High is within you. You need fear misfortune no more." 16. In that day, this shall be said to Jerusalem, have no fear, O Zion. Let not your hands droop. Your Most High, the Eternal One, is in your midst, a warrior who brings triumph, who will rejoice over you and be glad, who will shout over you with jubilation, who will lovingly soothe those long disconsolate. I will take away from you the woe over which you endured mockery. At that time, I will make an end of all who afflicted you, and I will rescue the lame sheep and gather the stray, and I will exchange their disgrace for fame and renown in all earth. At that time, I will gather you And at that time I will bring you home, for I will make you renowned and famous among all the peoples on earth, when I restore your fortunes before their very eyes, says the Most High.
Here we have again what the Creator is telling us that He's going to bring us home. Here we have it again. The Creator is saying to us that He's going to bring us home. That's the ultimate goal for Israel, to go home to the land and rule from the land. It's a beautiful piece. Beautiful. This dispensation of time that we read about here in Zephaniah can only become our reality if we adhere to the laws of the Most High. And in adhering to the laws of the Most High, that's known as obedience. You can't serve the Most High in obedience if you're dealing with ego. You can't. It's not so. The many challenges of ego will ultimately prevent you from being righteous before the Almighty. Because if you offend your brother unjustifiably, then you're not righteous in the sight of the Creator. You're supposed to honor your brother, love your brother, protect your brother. You're supposed to do all these things. And if you're not doing these things, then you're not actually honoring the Creator. If we as a people really understood who we were, we wouldn't want to show dishonor, and we wouldn't show dishonor to each other. See, because we see each other as flesh and blood, and that's it. We don't see each other as extensions of the Creator. Because therefore, if we saw each other as extensions of the Creator, as we attempt to honor the Creator, we will honor each other. So there's a new way for us to view life in this world. There's a new way for us to understand what's actually taking place in this whole cycle of things. Obedience is an act or instance of obeying, the quality or state of being obedient. The etymology of the word obedience is from an Old English Latin word obedient, odiums, from present particles of odere, to obey, submissive to the restraint or command of authority, willing to obey. Let me read that again. To obey, submissive to the restraint or the command of authority. So now you belong to a part of a community. Your leadership gives a command for the community to move forward. Your arrogance will tell you, or your ego will tell you, I don't have to do that. Matter of fact, I'm not going to do that. We're going to wear what we want to wear and do what we want to do. And how we want to run our households, we're going to run our households in that manner. Now you feel that in your spirit. You never have that sit down with the leadership. You are wrong. You're disobedient. You're disrespectful. And you're one that needs to be dealt with before what you have inside of you becomes contagious and spreads to someone else, which could destroy everything that we stand for. We don't think like that. We are busy thinking like the old Israel in the ancient days, with a part where it says, who died and made you chief? The question is, who died? Is because there was nobody there that we listened to. Every man does what's right in his own mind. You can't come and be a part of a community and still do what you want to do when you want to do it and how you want to do it. If that's the case, you should be separate, alone, and by yourself. Because when you come to a community, obedience is required in order for the community to run successfully. Order and structure and discipline must be in place. And that means obedience is necessary. And a lot of people still filled with that arrogance. Well, I don't care what he say. This is what we do. A lot of people we haven't truly learned, family, how to conquer that ego, because that ego runs heavy, and it's been running heavy for most of our lives within us. And most of us, if not all of us, don't want somebody else, flesh and blood, telling us what to do. We don't know how to humble ourselves. We might humble ourselves in certain instances, but the moment that your pleasure is interrupted, that's your true challenge of your humility. As long as everything is smooth and cool and you're enjoying everything and your pleasure is not challenged or interrupted, it's easy for you to give a display of humility. Easy. But the moment the law comes down and say, no more are we doing this. This is how we're moving forward. And you disagree with that, your ego shows you who you really are. Same thing for a female in the household. The moment your husband put down rules and regulations upon the house that's different or prevents you from having as much fun as you normally would have, you become unruly, unrighteous, unjustified. Same thing for a household, same thing for a community. There is no difference. The problem is that a lot of us try to create a difference or a barrier as if it really exists, and it doesn't. The same thing for the nation of Israel. Our problem is our ego, and our ego prevents us from being able to unite as a people. Every man does what is right in his own mind. That's ego. And we don't understand that. But that's ego. You will never be able to successfully build anything if you're moving off of the spirit of ego. And that's why we have so many connects throughout the earth. So many YouTube pages are open at this moment. So many Facebook pages and so many people calling themselves Maureen. Because ego is the primary goal, the primary thing, the most important part of our minds is that ego, that self-preservation portion that prevents you from succumbing to the authority of someone else. And a lot of part of the reason why is because everybody, well, not everybody, but most people wants to be in the position of that leader. Most people, or a lot of people, want to be in a position of leadership, so therefore they don't want nobody telling them what to do. Well, I'm the leader of my house. I heard what Prince said, but around here, this is the way we getting down. And that's why Israel is so divided, because that's not how it's supposed to be. So brothers, sisters, check yourselves, because your egos are truly preventing you from fulfilling the prophecies that the Most High has for us to fulfill. Think about it. He just said it in Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, that our pride needs to be destroyed from us. Our arrogance needs to be destroyed. Pride and arrogance are traits of ego. And ego runs strong in the nation today. So strong that a lot of us don't even see it. Now, let me tell you something about ego. Ego will hide itself in your subconscious mind. You will think that you are so humble and passive and workable, and ego hides itself deep down in your subconscious mind, where you think you don't have no ego, or I don't move in it. But then the moment something threatens your peace or your comfortability, that ego kicks back out again. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. I don't care. He's just a man just like me. Be it the woman talking about the husband or the husband talking about the spiritual leader. However it goes, ego is what keeps us separated and divided For if we are really truly able to remove that ego from our conscious mind and from our actions, this life that we're living would be so much more pleasurable. We would achieve so much more. We will do so much more. Well, a lot of people probably saying, well, why I got to listen to the leadership? I submit to you this day, if you don't want to obey and you don't want to fall in line and do what the leadership says, then you need to go somewhere else where you can fall in line and do what the leadership says. If you don't trust your leadership with your very existence, then you shouldn't be walking with that leadership. And if a woman can't trust her husband with her very existence, she shouldn't be walking with that man as her husband. This is just a fact. It comes a time when you have to make a decision, right or wrong. You have to make a decision that this is how you're going to live and submit yourself fully to it. It's now 1:45, family. I promise you all that at 1:45 we'll begin to take questions and have conversation. So are there any questions on the floor for us at this time? There's any questions, any comments? Anyone have anything that they would like to say? And if there's some things on the side that you would like to post or put up, just go ahead, write it, then post it so we can read it.
Ahmed says, sadly, many of our relationships compromise has become a dirty word. When the scripture says a soft answer turns away wrath, many look at this as weakness when actually it takes a strong person to say, let's sit down and talk about it. Toda Rabah for bringing this conversation out, nation.
Very good, my brother. Very good. Oh, that's Abba. Hey, shalom, Abba. You're absolutely right. And a lot of us don't have the ability to do that. Any others?
It's about the principles that they were given along with their life's journey. We have to look deeper into what a good family looks like. So many have been brainwashed by this society.
Absolutely right. And I like the part where she says about the principles of their life journey. See, in a community, you can teach those principles to the children. In the city, your children are basically learning more from the people in your community who they go to school with and spend most of their time with. But in the community, most of the time is being taught. They're learning in the community more so. So you have a better opportunity. That's why those people who grew up in the woods had a better structure than the people who grew up in the city. Because the people who grew up in the city was bombarded with wickedness, always, constantly around them. But the people who grew up in the community in the woods just had them. And that spirit, the joy, the happiness, the pleasure, it was circulated constantly. So they grew up having a different understanding of life and life values than those who grew up in the city. Greatly to be appreciated and respected. Anyone else?
When the Most High says he will gather the nations, what nations may he be speaking of?
The nations of Israel. But the Most High is going to gather all the nations of the earth to bring down his wrath upon them. All nations. The Most High is going to bring down his wrath upon them, especially those nations who had us in captivity and mistreated us and abused us.
The hardest part is knowing how to assist in conflict resolution, but because people say they want it, but truthfully they can't handle it because of ego. I believe it's a skill learned over time because it takes a string and determined person to accept criticism and have the skills to use the criticism to become better.
Absolutely. Those was words of wisdom. I should copy that and put that on my page. Those are truly words of wisdom. Could you repeat that for me again, please? Put that up again, please.
The hardest part is knowing how to assist in conflict resolution. But because people say they want it, but truthfully they can't handle it because of ego.
They can't handle conflict resolution because of ego. Wow. And look how she capitalized ego. She's right. Ego is a powerful force that hides itself into your subconscious mind. And it only comes out when you're challenged or tested or are in fear of losing something. Then your ego comes out. Read on, please.
I believe it's a skill learned over time because it takes a strong and determined person to accept criticism and have the skills to use the criticism to become better.
Wow. And you know, it does take a special type of person to accept it. But as she said earlier, we have to teach people or train people and develop people into the understanding of accepting criticism and not seeing criticism as something negative, but flip it and use it as something positive to better yourself. We had a situation yesterday where I had to talk to a brother. Brother wanted to talk to a gentleman. He wanted to approach a gentleman about a situation. So I had to go approach the gentleman about the situation. Let's just hypothetically say he wanted to buy a car from the brother. So he came to me to buy the car to go talk to the brother about selling the car because I could probably get it cheaper. The brother said he don't want to sell the brother a car for all these slew of different reasons. So I go back to the brother and say, yo, man, he don't really like you too much. He don't want to sell you the car because of this, 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 and this. So the brother that I go back to, if that brother says, you know what, I'm going to use everything that he said and better myself and prove that I'm worthy of that car, then that brother has reached the stage of enlightenment. But if that brother says, well, he don't want to take my money, I'm trying to give him money, man, that crazy, which is the average response when you're rejected or when you're turned down from something that you think you desire or deserve. That's how most people act. But for that brother to say, you know what, I'm going to absorb that knowledge because these are the type of people we're trying to raise, trying to teach, trying to build. And I don't care how old you are. It doesn't matter. Age has nothing to do with what we're talking about in these lessons. Because you could be 50, 60, 70 years old and not have the maturity and the discipline to control your ego. If that brother says, you know what, I'm going to utilize what he says and improve myself, then that brother has reached that level that he needed to learn, needed to reach, so he can improve himself. Read on, please. Anyone else? All right. Are there any other questions from the panel? Anyone on the panel have any questions or comments about today's lesson?
Oh, I just want to say today's lesson, it was really good because it's something to reflect about who you are internally. Like, how do you, it's something I said to you privately one time, just about being humble when others are boosting your ego, like remaining humble in that, because when others compliment you so much, that can also, it can be good for your ego, but it can damage your ego too. And so just, going over this lesson today, it's just another way to think about how you receive compliments and how, because I look at life as, well, I was raised to look at life as compliments and I guess you could say criticisms are both, you should take both things in stride and learn from both of them, because a compliment, you don't take the compliment and then you just sit in where you are in that compliment. You use it to kind of uplift yourself, right? You don't say, oh, they gave me a compliment, so I must be great at this. And then you also, if somebody criticizes you, you learn how to take that criticism and become better in it too. I believe just like my interactions with people, when you compliment them, that's where they leave it. They don't use it as a catapult to grow even more in that, not becoming haughty in it, but becoming better in it. Because I don't look at us as a compliment as, oh yes, I'm this person, so I'm going to leave it there. I want to become better in whatever it is the people are saying, so that I know I'm proud of myself, not just what others are saying they're proud of. And with criticisms, like in my family, we had family meetings, and it always started if we had a disagreement with one another, then we would give a criticism to our person we had a disagreement with, and then we would self-criticize or self-analyze ourselves of why we had that disagreement, and then we would have a discussion. Because a lot of times you can have a criticism of somebody, but that criticism is a reflection of what you might be lacking in, or not dealing with, or whatever. So that was something that my parents always taught us, like, be available within yourself if you're going to criticize somebody on what's lacking in you also. Not that it's always lacking in you, but constructive criticism came. Toda. A lot of people don't understand that. And it's not something like, I just look at society. Society tells you or teaches you that it's okay to just criticize everybody else, but not, look at what's going on with yourself. And I know in my family and in the community that I grew up in, that was not okay. It was not okay to not have self-criticism, and it was not okay to not be able to accept criticism and to build on it. So everything you were teaching today was just kind of like a just extra reinforcement of those principles that I was taught. And it's something that, and then another thing that sparked in my mind was, we have these conversations of lack of, when a woman's not ready to be married or be a mother or even understand what womanhood is. And the same with a man. Like, I know we have talked about and we've started like writing down things, but we really have to start implementing these classes, or even just conversations outside of the Shabbat, where we having these conversations where if there are a group of women who are coming forward and saying, hey, look, I'm going through these in my relationship, then we have to be willing. Those of us who have gone through some crazy relationships or even great relationships, we have to be willing, whether we're older or younger, to be able to sit amongst one another and talk about these experiences. Because sometimes we could save our sisters and brothers from going through something so negative. Even, creator forbid, going through a courtship and then they still go through it, because we understand that a courtship, a person can do a whole lot during that courtship to get into that marriage. And then once that marriage comes, the woman is felt like, well, I went through the courtship, so now I have to stay through this. I have to go through this stuff. Or the man feels the same way. And there's no outlet for them to find refuge. And the other part of refuge is we can't just say, okay, you go give yourself space. Where's the counseling and the healing in the middle of that? Because once they come back together in a week, the problem still exists. There was no conversation. There was no conversation for the sister. There was no conversation for the brother. And then there was no conversation for them as a whole family. And then even the children that are involved, especially the children. Did you just do that? Especially the children that, especially the children that are old enough to experience whatever the mother or the father is going through. And I'm just bringing this up because I will admit I've been through that, where I gave my all to a previous relationship because I thought it was it. And I had children in that relationship. And I had children prior to that relationship that are affected to this day by the negativity of it and the outcome of it. But where's the healing for those children? Where's the healing for that woman, that man? Because once they divorce, if neither one of them feel like they need healing, they just go off to another relationship and those problems just keep existing. It's like a revolving door. So I just feel we got to stop I know we don't just talk about it, but I hear it so much. So we have to be able to formalize and start to actually do these workshops to help one another, because this nation is not going to rise with all these underlying problems. Say who?
Tell Rabbah, may the Most High be praised. As always, you are so influential, so informative, so on point with the things you have to say. I like it when people use their own personal life to make a point to help others to grow. I like that. It's very important. It shows the honesty in you. So that's a good thing. What is it Sister Tusoya said?
I believe that the Most High owns the power structure of culture. We have something up for ourselves. He has given us rules to live by in our created structure so that his kingdom may be expressed.
Very good. Very good. Toda Rabbah. And Maisha was asked, okay, go ahead. Maisha was asking a question about when the Most High says, so it sounds like ego is mostly a bad thing. I want y'all to know that ego is not a bad thing. It's only bad when you can't control it, when you don't master it. As I stated earlier, you should never destroy all of your ego. Hold on to a portion of it because you may need it. A portion of it. You don't destroy it all. So it's not a bad thing. It's only bad when you can't control it, when you don't master it. So that's what I'm saying. Okay? So that we all understand. Any other questions or comments? No one? I remember, family, we're coming back today at 3 o'clock. Creator willing, we'll be back here at 3 o'clock today to do the second part of our class. And the second part of our class is coming out of Book of Numbers, the 26th chapter. All right? So I think that there will be a part 2 to this because I didn't even get into half of the information that I pulled up. That I have, I could write a book on this with all the information I pulled up. So I would like to cover a little bit more, and I would like to go from a different angle, a different perspective about the ego, other than the one that was presented today. This is just one side of it. So the many changes of the ego is really deep-rooted, deep inside of us, and it needs the full attention of the conscious mind to master the subconscious mind. May the Creator be praised. We're going to close out now, and we're going to come back today at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Shalom, shalom.
Shabbat shalom.